Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to our fun chat. This evening, we'll have Doug Emhoff on, who is probably best known for being the husband of Senator Kamala Harris. I have so many questions for Doug, and I know you all submitted a lot of questions on Twitter and here on Instagram, so I want to get right into them. So let's bring Doug in and see how much we can get to this evening. Thanks. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. I got to readjust everything.
That's okay.
How's that?
I know in this new digital period, everyone's got to figure out how to best stream from home.
Well, I've been Kamala's techie for the last 5 weeks, so I have been expert in Zoom and Skype and FaceTime and the rest. So I'm used to it.
No worries. We came home, we just like totally attacked the house because we've never been able to really like dig our heels in on organizing the house. So we still had things from our wedding that were not unpacked. And so I took over the attic space. So I'm trying to nest up here in our attic. But it was blank. So now like putting things behind you that like everyone's
Yeah.
gonna judge on the internet.
And
So
of course, everyone's watching what everyone else's house looks like and, peering around and trying to see
yeah.
what they can see. But so we're in DC. We never left. I came out here 5 weeks ago for a long weekend, and we've just stayed, and she's decided to stay, and just keep fighting on this COVID stuff and
Yeah.
doing everything she can, and it's just been kind of surreal. So I'm kind of work in our little office here, except when she has to do her media. So then she's out on the kitchen table, but I'll walk in for a snack and it's like, oh, that's Dr. Fauci. That's you know, another senator, and it's just surreal because I've always had a very good seat into seeing all the things that she's doing, as I know you have, Pete, but
Yeah.
we've never been self-isolated before for 5+ weeks. So it's just been an incredible, weird, surreal experience to actually work together
Right.
while, I'm kind of do my legal work and deal with all these issues for clients that have come up and she's trying to save the world. So it's been,
Yeah.
it's been kind of cool.
Yeah. You know that video that went viral of the guy doing the interview and then his like toddler like comes in like barreling into the room. Pete was on a a call with his team earlier today, and I just like barged in like doing that. I'm glad everyone got the joke, but sometimes I
Yeah.
have to like listen outside the door, like who's he talking to right now? Can I make a joke? So I have a lot of questions for you, and a lot of folks have submitted questions on Twitter and Instagram, but um, I think most people know you. But is there anything you want to tell viewers, but maybe just about yourself, like where you grew up or where you're from, or what your day job is? Because most people just know us as the husbands of the candidates. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. My name is Doug Emhoff. I was actually born in Brooklyn, New York, and was lived there for 4 or 5 years. That's where my parents, grandparents, and everyone are from. And I think there's a viral video of my mom in her New York accent, or Kamala imitating my mom's New York accent. And I moved to Jersey. My dad was a woman shoe designer, very hip, awesome guy, still around, and he's the best. And moved us out to California when I was in high school from New Jersey for a job opportunity. So my little brother and I moved to LA area. My sister still lives in New York. She stayed. So it was kind of traumatic. She was already in college. So, but we're all close. I know a lot of K-Hive people know Jamie because she's been to a lot of the events, especially in New York. Um, and then, just like went from New Jersey, like Central Jersey, to like the Fast Times at Ridgemont High era, LA. So it was total, right outside of the valley and going to the beach and just complete change of of lifestyle from what I was used to in Jersey to the suburbs of LA in the early 80s. It was just pretty incredible. So I wound up going to college. I went to USC Law School, and I'm an entertainment lawyer. I'm a media and entertainment lawyer, and I've been doing that for almost 30 years. I just joked with Kamala because she was from San Francisco, and she's like, God, how does everyone know you? It's like, I used to be somebody before I was somebody with you. You know, it's like, so I've dealt with a lot of celebrities and studios and musicians, and it's been a pretty awesome, amazing career, and has been very fortunate, and worked really hard. But so I had 2 kids, Cole and Ella. Cole does look like me, but that was me in that picture yesterday, everyone. That was me at 20, not Cole, but we do look exactly alike. And you know, my ex Kirsten we're very close. She's an incredibly awesome, successful woman. She runs a company called Pretty Bird, and they make high-end commercials and music videos and documentaries. So she's a real force of nature. And we had Cole and Ella, and, you know, unfortunately split up around 11, 12 years ago, but remained incredibly close. You know, Kamala and Kirsten just get along amazingly, and it's just, you know, one big happy family. We do Thanksgivings together, and Kirsten came out on the campaign trail, and Kamala wrote an ode to her for Mother's Day. So it's been really very awesome. So that's it. I was like just a dude, you know, as a lawyer, and then I met Kamala on a blind date, set up by legendary filmmaker Reginald Hudlin, who did House Party and many, many others, including Black Godfather. So he and his wife, Chrisette Hudlin, came in to see me as a lawyer, and I was just, you know, sitting there doing my thing. And Chrisette Hudlin, after the meeting, they were not happy because they were in a terrible dispute, and just kind of looked at me. And, you know, we all have our version of the story, but essentially was, "Are you single?" And I said, "Why are you asking?" And he said, "I got a friend I've known for 30 years, and I just think you guys are going to be amazing together." I'm like, "Okay, who is it?" "Kamala Harris." I'm like, "Kamala Harris?" This is like 7.5, 8 years ago. I said, "How do I know that name?" "She's the Attorney General." I said, "Oh my God, she's hot. That Kamala Harris." And I said, "You're trying to set me on a blind date with Kamala Harris." And she was. And it was kind of old school. She gave me her number and said, "You know, don't mess this up. This is confidential. And if you do, you know, we may be looking for." I got hired. I did get hired. But
if you do,
I did. And yeah, we may be looking for a new lawyer. And it was just kind of funny. You know, you're debating. So do I text the Attorney General? So I did. I texted her that night, and she did text me back. And then I think she wrote about this in her book. The next morning, I did that. It's like I had an early meeting, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Don't call her. Don't call her. Called her. Went right to voicemail. And people of my generation, it was like the Swingers scene when John Favreau just keeps calling and calling, and that's what I didn't. She saved the voicemail. It was really lame. Plays it to me every year on our anniversary.
No way.
And she liked it so much, she called me back, and she never calls, like she's working. And she called me back, and we decided, you know, we're going to go out. And she happened to be coming to LA that weekend, and we went on a blind date. And heads are turning. I'm like, God, I guess people do know who you are. And like, we've been together ever since.
That's wonderful. And I mean, people ask me this all the time because I was a teacher at the time when I met Pete, when he was currently serving as mayor in South Bend. And did you ever think that when you fell in love with this person, that ultimately one day that you would be out on the trail with them and running for president of the United States?
No, I mean, when I met her, it just kind of felt like another busy, successful lawyer who happened to live in San Francisco. And she was, you know, maybe her first or second year in office. So she was fighting with the banks for the big bank settlement. And you know, we were falling in love and building a relationship, and I was a single dad. So I had the kids every other week for a whole week. So it was kind of week on, week off. And so the weeks that I did not have the kids, I would go to San Francisco. And just at that time, the law firm I was at that time had tasked me to open a San Francisco office, which was amazing luck, as it would have it, because I was started to date
Yeah.
Kamala Harris at that time. And it was great because I would spend a whole week up there and building the office. And then after several months, you know, because we were in our, you know, mid to late 40s, and we were kind of like, you know, I'd famously sent her an email with something like, "Hey, I'm too old to, you know, hide the ball. I'm really into this. Let's just make this work." So we decided to give it 6 months, and just not talk about it. And if at the end of that 6 months we still felt the way we did, we were just gonna go for it, and that's exactly what happened. So I think she met the kids after 3 or 3 months, and I actually would tell that story on the trail when I was searching for something to say,
Yeah.
like Kamala's a prosecutor and she's this and that. I'm like, oh, let me tell you about the Kamala Harris I know. She
Right.
showed up to meet Colonella wearing chucks and jeans, you know, holding a bag of a tin of chocolate chip cookies that she wrapped. That's wearing a leather jacket. So, you know, that's the Kamala Harris that I know.
Yeah.
And that's the one I hope you know, not the parody that, you know, you would
I don't know.
see during the
I love Kamala
campaign
Harris on
trail.
SNL.
Right. Although that is
uh,
pretty funny. That is actually very funny. So yeah, no, so
uh,
Chasten, it was like I never, even when we met when she was Attorney General, it was just like two busy professionals at that age who met when a guy with kids and trying to balance two jobs, two cities, two places, and integrate her into my life. And then she ran for reelection at some point. We were um, engaged, and you know, I can't remember anything about it. I think I went to one event and one thing. I'm like, wow, politics is easy. This is unbelievable. But um, it was really, it really hit me like after we got married, she got reelected, and Senator Boxer decided not to run. And then it was this whole like going around about whether she was going to run for that open Senate seat, first open Senate seat in a quarter century.
yeah.
And you can imagine it was a pretty big decision. That was really welcome to politics, deciding over a short amount of time whether to do that. And then in that race is when I really, you know, kind of became a political spouse, doing events and all the things that, you know, I did magnified on the presidential.
Yeah. So I don't want to get caught up too much in talking about our partners because we did that for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about, so you and I both decided to go out and do individual events on the trail. We were with our partners together, and then we went out and did solo events. And you and I crisscrossed paths a couple times in the same state. What was that like for you at first? And I asked you that because for me at first, Buddy saying hello from downstairs. You know, for me at first, I really felt like, you know, I'm a teacher. I don't belong in politics. I was made to feel like I didn't belong in the political conversation. But then the more I realized, like, if I'm just myself and I talk about like my realities and the things I know and the things I want to see, then it got better. What was that like for you? Was there like was there a learning curve for you? And
Yeah.
what was that experience like?
So that's a great question. I did just a little on the Senate race because so I had some, you know, familiarity with it, but again, it was nothing like, it didn't really prepare me at all for the presidential. We got in a lot earlier than you guys did. We started in January, so we started with this big bang in Oakland, 22,000 people,
Yeah.
glorious day. I'm out there, you know, waving, freaking out, the kids, and you're like, holy F. Like, we thought there'd be 5,000 people there. And I said, wow. So it was really that was January. So, you know, February, March, it was really her going out there. I wasn't doing much. It was really April when you guys got in, and we had to go to Iowa, New Hampshire, and start all these offices, they realized that they had no choice but to use me, and we had to divide and conquer. Otherwise, she couldn't just do it all alone. And it wasn't like it wasn't really her, it was the team. And it was just like, okay, well, we've decided that you need to start doing this. Here's your staffer, Anne, who you met, Chasten,
Yeah.
who's amazing. A lot of you met her. And it was like, go here, go do events. But with her, it was like the tour bus and the security and the thousands of people. And as you know, because we did events together, it's like you go out with one or two staffers, and there's very little prep. They throw you into the room. So for me, it was really trial by fire. And a lot of the times, where our spouses would get these massive briefings and all that, we would get nothing, and we would just roll out there and do it. So for me, it was very much trial by fire. And then I guess they realized whether I was good or not, I had no choice. So I worked during the week, say 4 or so days a week. And then say Thursday, I would just kind of work through the itinerary, and then it would be where she wasn't. And so when you and I weren't at the bigger events, surrogate events, I was in rural Nevada, I was in Flint, Michigan, I was in, you name it. And it was really incredible experience, because it's one thing to be at the big events with thousands of people. That's cool. But that's really, it is what it is. But to actually meet people of all kinds all around the country and really listen and hear what's going on in their lives. I mean, I don't know anyone from Michigan who's on. I went to Flint, and that was probably the most impactful thing I ever did. It's just with me the whole time. Rural Nevada, you're meeting kids whose both parents died, from drug overdoses, and it was for a kid who grew up in New York and LA and has spent most of my life in New York, LA, San Francisco, and DC. It just really opened my eyes, and it made me, I think, a better surrogate, because I was able to bring what I'd call notes from the field. So I would always come back from these trips and do a download and just say, look, this is what's going on, and we need to focus on this, and this. And you get overwhelmed because you just want to help all these folks and you want to help the campaign, but what you realize, it's almost overwhelming. And then you just have to, kind of keep it day by day. And then you just kind of get into a mode where you get the schedule, and then you just want to do your best job and go out there and, make it happen. So there's
the most surprising things for me was when we would go out there and you would do those things like go to Flint, and one of the days that really stuck with me the most is when I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and went to the LGBTQ center there. And you hear the stories of like what queer life is like in Oklahoma, right? And what people are going through there. And and then you go on Twitter, you go on social media, or certain areas in the media, and it's so far disconnected from the realities of everyday Americans. And when you meet people, it's not so much about like it's about what you represent, right? And the campaign that you represent and the message you represent. And you realize like, this is true America, this is real America, and these are the people that we're doing this for. It's not like, so often I felt like what we did, like you said, like we bring all these notes back, and then they were able to like infuse those stories into their speeches and into their stump and talking to people.
It's so true.
Yeah. And I feel like you did such a good job at that as well. I remember meeting you in Vegas, and we were standing backstage at that event, and I just thought like, our spouses, God love them, they're like surrounded by like how many people a day, right? Like how many staffers they have, and like people like feeding them information. And then we're just like there, and we're getting ready to go up on the stage, and they're going to hand us a microphone, and we have to stand in front of thousands of people. And basically we get like 30 seconds to convince them to vote for our partner. And that was a lot of pressure. I mean, did you ever feel that like,
well, that one,
like, don't mess it up.
The event, the most pressure, that event in Vegas, Pride, it was with Dr. Biden. And this is an example, staff, they didn't tell me I'd be speaking one, and they didn't tell me there'd be 5,000 people out there. And they didn't tell me, I'd be speaking with Chasten and Dr. Biden, who are both, everyone, awesome at this. And so but that one was one of the hardest ones because it was like I just rolled in from LA, and then we had to leave at like 4 a.m. the next morning, and I was just like not prepared, but I did my best. And it's in those moments where you dig deep and then you just say, oh my God, I have to just speak from the heart. What is there about her that I can just tell them that no one else knows, and just try to figure out something. And I guess being I've tried cases, and I've been in my legal career, I'm mostly for many years, been on the dispute side. So I'm used to, kind of standing up and advocating in a court, and having to, extemporaneously answer questions and be ready on a dime. So I just kind of use those skills. With that event you're talking about, and the other one was with your husband, Pete. There was one where I was also in Nevada, and it was the Nevada Dems, and I just realized it was thousands of people, and it was like Pete and Tom Steyer and some other actual president, Ro Khanna for Bernie. So I'm like, I'm just making it up, and you've got like real professionals up there, and just trying my best. I think I got pretty good by the end, because I just, with anything, the repetitions, you just kept doing it, and it just became more and more, the surrealness of it just became more and more natural.
Right.
But the thing I think I tried to warn you of after it ends, it's like you're going 1,000 miles an hour for a year, and then one day you're not.
Right.
And then it's like running into a brick wall. And ours ended pretty abruptly, and it was we were in Iowa, and you just kind of come home, and it's like you don't have to go give a speech. You don't have a bunch of people running after you it's just surreal to go from walking around with a bunch of people following you with a camera in your face and taking selfies in every airport, every place you go, to it not.
Yeah.
And then you went right into isolation. So I feel bad in a way that we at least got to have the holidays and had family, and then she had her, came back to the Senate, and then it was good for her because she came back to the Senate and right into impeachment and just kind of warrior mode. And she's just been in warrior mode ever since.
Because I texted you, I texted you that day that y'all withdrew from the race, and I said, I hope you get the vacation.
You were the first person to text me, so I just want to let everyone know. Chasten was the first person to text me after we got out of the race, literally within seconds. So
did you get that?
I will
vacation?
never.
Oh, I gotta look at
it. We did actually. We probably got one of the last vacations anyone was able to take. We just sat. We were able to get through. I'm losing the timeline, but we were able to just sit on a beach somewhere for 7 days, like just tune out and process. And all I just kept saying is, I'm so proud of you. I mean, my goodness, you just ran for president of the United States and were a top, 4 or 5 candidate the entire time, raised all this money, cover of Time. It was groundbreaking. It was amazing. And, we just kind of had a moment to ourselves to, contemplate, kind of what was done. But now it's like, I'm not saying it's a distant memory, because it's like you look at the pictures, you have so many amazing relationships. It's just, what an experience. Like, just to go through unexpectedly, it's just pretty incredible. So
I'm going to try switching my Wi-Fi network real quick. Just a sec. Oops, are you there? Oh no.
Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Hold on, I gotta switch.
Hello. Oh no, the connection. Y'all came up in the comments saying it was blurry for you, so I switched Wi-Fi network.
Hi, can you hear us?
There.
Can you
Okay,
hear
great.
Hi.
You're back. Hello. Just a second. Peter.
How you doing?
I'm great. It's nice to see you.
Can you hear us? Chasten, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
How you doing?
Pull up a chair. I'm doing great. Doug and I were just talking about,
Pete!
there's a chair back there. We're reflecting about so much on the campaign trail, and we were just talking about going from 1,000 miles an hour to 0.
Oh, yeah. And then going into quarantine.
Yeah, it's been. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been having a good time, but unfortunately, I told Pete I would mess his hair up if I cut it, and I did. So I think that's the only.
I told Doug, I was like, I think Pete got a hair. I saw you on Morning Joe. You did such a great job, Pete. Yeah. Look at you. I miss you.
It's low maintenance. We got that going on. So
everything else is great.
I miss seeing you guys.
Same here. Thanks for all you're doing. I promise no shot top, except this democracy bill you just introduced.
Get out.
Fantastic.
Go away. Oh. I thought you were making something up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for continuing.
We're all in it together, brother. We're all in it together.
Yeah, you're crushing it out there.
Well, we all are, one day at a time. What have you guys been talking about? Campaign?
Life.
Well,
Life?
we're just talking about, trying to support you two out on the trail and what that's like.
Yeah.
It is strange, right? Going straight from constant motion to just being, literally confined to quarters most of the time. But
well, you're right. It's because we went from waking up in the morning not knowing where we are to waking up every morning knowing exactly where we are.
Yep. Yeah. He's so much better at the other day. He's really good with routine. I'm not. And the other day he brought me a cup of coffee in bed, and I was like, I could tell he's already showered. He had a work uniform on, and it turned out he had done NPR, fed the dogs, was reading the paper, and I was like, I'm sleeping in. I'm doing my.
That's why we love him.
Let me ask you both. Doug gave us the sweet story of how you met. But what do you two envision doing once this is all over? When things back to normal, what's the first thing that you both want to do together?
Oh, we haven't really talked about that. Yeah, definitely we want to see the kids, see our family. We have Cole and Ella. We have baby nieces who are 3 and 1.5, and I just want to pick them up and just so just seeing everybody in person, right? My godchildren, that my goddaughter's dog died, right, during all of this, and they couldn't even literally there's so much that is happening on a daily basis in people's lives. And I was saying to a few people, there's just something about this moment that also emphasizes the significance of hearing laughter versus reading LOL. Right? And that human connection and interaction, I find that I'm trying to call people more and text less just for that reason. So it's there's so much that we enjoy about being, a species that is about actual interaction. So yeah, just have a big old backyard barbecue.
Yes. Yeah. Did you learn anything about one another while campaigning?
Oh.
We're learning about each other during a pandemic.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about each other.
For example, I learned and had to have a conversation with my mother-in-law about the fact that apparently my husband was not required to clean his room when he was growing up.
Oh.
I'm making up for lost time now.
But he's really trainable. Saturday is chores day.
Yes. And I'm learning to cook. I cook Wednesdays and Saturdays. But I would say, but on the campaign trail, I would say we learned God, you know, one, you can kind of put yourself through anything and come out the other end stronger. So I think we went into it pretty strong. We came out like, you know, forged in iron and toughness because they threw everything at us under the sun, and then some. And you just learn, you know, you can just take it and put it away and then come out of this a lot stronger. So I just felt we came out of it like an amazingly, we were a good couple going in. Then I think we came out of it like, you know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and also I watched Doug I had not seen him, I mean, campaign before, and I watched him in those rooms, small rooms, big rooms, and be so attentive and kind and patient and interactive in a way I've always known him as a person and in the context of our family. But to see how he really embraced the relationships with the people, you know, all of the great people that you meet in a campaign. And it was nice to see. It was really nice to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Since you're pretty good at this. So.
Thank goodness we made it. Huh?
Yeah, I remember
but I love the friendship you guys struck up. That was so fantastic.
You know, one of the moments that I'm still like quasi embarrassed for, but I know I don't need to be embarrassed, is when we were at the New Hampshire State Party. Y'all were giving big speeches there, and you both had walked out of a room, and from like 100 yards away, I saw Doug, and I was like, "What's up?" And like everyone in the hallway was just so confused because I think that broke like every rule of like
every rule.
I was like, oh, so sorry. It's very uptight back here. I love meeting Doug on the trail because like very few people know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And mostly when we met up with each other, just be like, I know, man.
How you doing? Oh my God. You can't believe this.
Me actually was the moment, the day that we stepped out. Chasten introduced me when I gave our last speech to supporters, and you know we're campaigning together. But the one thing you never really get to see when you're running is your spouse speaking, right? Because usually if they're giving a speech somewhere, it's because
that's right.
And not that I didn't know you were good at this, but it was pretty cool to actually be there and see you take the stage and get a sense of how you built that connection with so many people.
That was the hardest speech I'd ever given. I think they told me like 10 minutes before we arrived, like, do you want to introduce Pete? And I like could not get it together. I was crying so hard backstage, and
we watched it.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
We watched it in our kitchen, and we were like,
yeah.
Oh my God, there's Chasten. Yeah. And I think I sent you a note too, either before or after, to say what a great job you did. And it was really, the other thing I was going to say, having gone through this, you also know what it's like to leave the campaign and how hard that can be and how emotional and whatever. And so every time somebody came out, no matter what their politics or anything, I would, and I think Kamala too, would always either call and text or tweet just to, because there's nothing like it. You put heart and soul into something for a year and a half, and then it ends. And look, we're all going to support Joe, and it's all going to be great. But you know, we all wanted to do this, and there's something about feeling that empathy and compassion for the other that when it's over. So
that's what we're all here.
I hope I expressed it enough to you when you.
I think people online want us to hate each other, but it was like I always said, like, I thought if you really thought the drama at the debates was up on the debate stage, like turn the camera to where the spouses are, where we're all like Doug and I'd be like texting each other across the room.
Right, and we're on the stage looking down and thinking, why are you texting when you're not watching me?
It's like texting Doug, like, you have the Wi-Fi password.
Why are you, what are you doing?
You would give some answer, and Chasten would just send me like fire bolts on a text, and Pete would give an answer. I'd say, nice.
I think I speak for both of us. So we love being on. I hope that we can be honorary members of the K Hive, and you can be honorary members of the team.
Oh,
We're here for you
I
both.
love that.
I think I took, except for K-Hive folks, and hi K-Hive if you're out there, the Team Pete folks, and it was good to see a lot of the selfies that I've taken with them kind of pop up when you announced this. I met them everywhere,
Yeah.
not only Team Pete, but all the other teams. I always tried to make a point of always saying hi and taking pictures, because it's the right thing to do. But the Team Pete folks, the night we did the speech in Iowa, where you both just rocked that speech at the Liberty and Justice. A lot of your supporters were in our hotel lobby when she came in, and the whole K-Hive and all the supporters there. It was just like a mass Team Pete, Kamala cheering and pictures and video and dancing. So it was one of the best memories of the entire campaign.
We're gonna take that into November. All of this unity and
Yes, we all got to help Joe win this
Yes,
thing.
we are. Yes, we are. Yes,
I'm
we
so
are.
excited that we're all on the team together now, and glad that you're keeping well, and really thankful for everything that you're doing out there. So this is such a fun India.
Well, we're gonna have dinner together somewhere once this is
Let's
all
do
over.
that.
yes,
Okay,
please.
for
If Bucky
sure.
keeps barking, I
For
think
sure.
he's ready for his walk.
For sure.
So,
And
yeah,
I cherish our friendship, and it's so good to see you guys. It
Really
really is
is.
so good to see you.
Thank you.
It really
you
is.
both hold each other close. Please stay healthy and
Okay, all of us
and
together.
thank you for doing all the good work out there for us. We really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you
See
guys.
you guys soon.
Thank
Okay,
you.
be well.
Thanks for
Be
having
well.
Chasten. Thanks for having me. This was great.
See you soon.
Anytime.
Okay.
This is
Anytime.
awesome.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
You're up. All right, I gotta end this real quick.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Can you go?
Yeah, I'll go see Buddy.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was really special. As always, phenomenal talking with Doug and sharing those stories. I had so many more questions to ask him. The dogs are very excited for their walk tonight. But something I really just admired about meeting all the spouses on the trail is how much heart they brought into the process, and how, like Doug and I were talking about, you just had this phenomenal sense of getting to know America and going out there and hearing people's stories and sharing those back with the campaign was a pleasure for me. And it was a pleasure doing it out there on the trail as well with Doug. Remarkable person, and I'm glad at least both of them have each other right now. Buddy is relentless. He's definitely ready for his walk. I look forward to seeing you all next week. A lot of exciting guests, but finalizing times and days. So I'll be chatting with you all next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Please take care of one another, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.